Paris, the city of love, has just added a new romance to its list. On Saturday night, actor Tom Hiddleston, famous for playing Loki in the Marvel Universe, was spotted walking hand in hand with a mysterious blonde woman along the banks of the Seine. According to eyewitnesses, the couple looked very affectionate and comfortable together. The blonde girl wore a cream-colored trench coat and elegant high heels, her face beaming as she chatted with Tom and shared a strawberry crepe. A source close to the couple revealed that they met at an art party in London a few months ago. She is not a celebrity, working in the cultural field, maybe a journalist or editor. Tom loves her for her intelligence and simplicity, the source said. What excited fans was the image of Tom Hiddleston, usually associated with a calm and mysterious style, smiling brightly like a guy in love for the first time. A short clip went viral online showing him gently pulling the girl's hand to avoid a puddle, then playfully kissing her forehead, making people fall in love. Currently, Tom Hiddleston's representative refused to comment on the dating rumors. However, with what was witnessed in Paris, it seems that the British actor's heart has found a new light. Will this be a sweet love story, or just a short romantic adventure? Regardless, fans still hope that Tom will be happy, like how Loki finally found peace in his own timeline. A Night in Paris, Part 2. The taxi slowed to a stop in front of a small cafe in the Latin Quarter. The yellow lights reflected off the wet pavement after a drizzle, and the faint sound of jazz music drifted from inside the cafe, invitingly. Tom got out of the car, putting his arm around the blonde girl as she followed. "Are you sure you're okay with this place? It's a little old," Tom said, half laughing. She laughed, her voice as light as a breeze. "If an old-fashioned cafe in Paris with live jazz is old, then I want to stay old forever." He looked at her for a long moment, as if memorizing every feature of her face. "I like the way you talk." They walked inside. Inside, candles on every table made the space surprisingly warm. The waiter recognized Tom, of course, but made no fuss. It seemed that, in Paris, people still retained the old romantic delicacy. After a few glasses of red wine and a plate of French cheeses, the conversation deepened. Tom put his elbows on the table, tilting his head. "You know, sometimes I think I live in roles forever. Like the real Tom is forgotten between the layers of the script. But tonight, I feel like myself." She smiled. Her blue eyes glowed softly in the candlelight. "I don't think the real you is forgotten. You just hide him too well. But when you smile, like when you saw the crepe fall onto my jacket, you're so real." Tom chuckled, a little embarrassed. "I'm sorry about that again." "Don't. That was my favorite part of the evening," she said, tilting her head teasingly. Out the window, the rain was drizzling again. He looked out, then back. "Do you believe in meeting the right person at the wrong time?" She was silent for a moment, then answered with a question. "What are you afraid of?" "That you will like me more than I thought. And that I will only be in Paris for a few days." She looked at him, for a long time. Then she said, softly but firmly, "Tom, I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I know I want to stay in Paris for another week." He was surprised. Then, slowly, a genuine smile spread across Tom Hiddleston's lips. Not Loki, not some character. Just Tom. A Night in Paris, Part 3. The Days That We Can't Name. They started their trip unexpectedly, as if Paris were just the beginning of a hastily written but emotional love song. 3 days later, Tom and her, Elise, left Paris by an early train. The high-speed train took them to Lyon, where the hills were covered with grapes and the smell of fresh bread wafted from the small bakeries along the road. Elise closed her eyes in the train compartment, her head resting on Tom's shoulder, her hand resting in his. He said nothing, just squeezed it gently as if to say, "I'm here." That night, they sat under the string lights hanging around a small restaurant on Fourvière Hill. Tom told them about his childhood in England, about his early days as an actor when no one remembered his name, only knowing him as the tall boy who recited Shakespeare. Elise listened, smiling occasionally. She said that she had intended to study fine arts but became an editor because she was afraid of poverty. Do you regret it? Tom asked. No, because if I hadn't made the wrong choice, I wouldn't be sitting here with you, she said, winking. The next day, they went to Venice. The city was a dream, shimmering in the morning mist. They rode a gondola down the Grand Canal, and when Elise leaned in for a photo, Tom gently pulled her hand back for a surprise kiss. Take this moment, he whispered. The evening in Venice was another chapter. In the small hotel room by the canal, with the city quiet, save for the gentle lapping of the boats beneath the windows, Elise leaned against the balcony. Tom came up to her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Elise? Yeah? If I wasn't Tom Hiddleston, if I didn't have the fame, the lights, the schedules and the interviews, would you still choose to go with me? She turned around, looked him straight in the eye. If you weren't Tom Hiddleston, I think you'd still be the man who saved the best cheese for me in Lyon. And the man who wiped my hands after I spilled coffee on my dress at the train station. That would be enough. Tom was silent, but he knew that some answers didn't need to be spoken, and this was one of them. A Night in Paris, Part 4, Between Florence and Choices. Florence greeted them with cobblestone streets and quaint red roofs, peeking out from bougainvillea-covered balconies. Tom and Elise arrived late in the afternoon, as the sun cast an orange glow over the Arno River. It feels like I'm in a painting, Elise said as they stood on the Ponte Vecchio. Tom didn't answer. He looked at her, not at the city. That night, they dined in a small restaurant tucked away in an alley. The candles on the table swayed in the breeze, and red wine filled their glasses again. But this time, Elise's smile was a little wistful. I have news. I don't know if it's good or bad, she said. Tom put down his glass. What is it? The editors are calling. They're asking me to come back to London early to edit a big project. A book by a big name. It's very important. When? His voice slowed. Elise looked at him, as if stalling for time. 2 more days. The table fell silent. Only the clatter of plates and knives from the other tables could be heard. So, it ends here? Tom asked softly, looking down at their clasped hands. No, but it has to change. We can't live like we're in an Italian movie, Tom. She smiled sadly. You have a film to shoot. I have a deadline. We have a life. He nodded, but his heart didn't agree with his mind. The next morning, they sat together on the roof of the hotel, watching the sunrise over the rooftops of Florence. The coffee cooled in their hands. Elise turned to him and asked softly, if this were your last day, what would you most remember? Tom thought for a moment, then replied, the moment you said you'd stay in Paris for another week. Because it was the first time I didn't feel like I was dreaming. Elise rested her head on his shoulder. An hour later, as the taxis stopped down the street, they held each other, not like two people about to say goodbye, but like two people holding onto something precious, but not sure if they could keep it.